Hi, it's Abby from the Dorks Music Workshop. Today I'm going to show you how we would change a crook cork on a saxophone. This method is relevant for all the members of the sax family, and it's something that we can generally do while you wait in about 20 minutes. So first of all, you've got to remove the old cork. The important thing here is not to scratch the lacquer of the saxophone as you're going. You can use the scraper kind of like a potato peeler, and you're just drawing the cork back towards yourself. It's quite safe, and it's the best way to do it without affecting any of the rest of the crook. You need to apply quite a lot of pressure, and you want to get as much of the solid cork off as possible. There will be some glue left on the end of the crook, but you can clean this off using lighter fluid or methylated spirits or something like that, something quite mild. So now I'm just going to put a little bit of lighter fluid on a cloth, and that will just remove any of the old glue that was on there, so you've got a nice fresh level area to re-glue the new cork onto. So the next step is to cut yourself a strip of cork to the right length. Now that's quite important, as the length of the cork here will determine how much tuning room you've got when pushing your mouthpiece on. This is the most commonly used thickness of cork for this type of work. This is 1.6 thickness, and to size it up properly you just want to line up the tip of the crook, and then you can just about see where the old cork came up to. You just draw yourself a little line, and again at the other end of the cork draw yourself a little line, just maybe slightly longer than the previous cork. And then we use razor blades, but you can use a box cutter or a Stanley knife or scalpel or something similar, and you line up these 2 points with the ruler, and being very careful, just draw your blades along the length, and you should have the correct width of cork. At this point you need to bevel the cork, which means you're creating a nice angle, about 45-degree angle on one side. So you just take the blade and you push the blade through the cork. So at this stage you're going to need to apply some glue to the cork. The glue that we tend to use, that we find is really good, is the contact adhesive. You need to apply this to the piece of cork that you're using and to the surface of the crook here. So you take the underside of the cork strip, so the bevel facing downwards, and you want to be quite generous with this glue. You can go all the way up the cork, just making sure that you've covered most of it, and then you're applying a small amount to the crook itself, and you smear this glue. You want it to be quite thick. You want a thick but even coating. You don't want blobs of it everywhere. And you're applying just a very small amount to the beveled edge that you've cut. That bit's very important. This glue takes a couple of minutes. You can wait up to 5 minutes for this glue to become completely touch dry. That is also very vital. There's nothing worse than rushing one of these. You need to wait for that cork to be really dry, and once both areas are covered, then you can sit and have a cuppa. So the next step is to join the cork onto the crook. Both of these contact areas should be nice and touch dry now. They shouldn't be sticking to your finger really when you're touching them. That's just the best way to tell. So you're starting with your beveled edge. So if you do this in line with the underside of the crook, it just makes for a nice clean finish. But to compensate for the taper of the crook, you're just going to slightly change the angle. So you're not doing it dead straight, just ever so slightly tilted with the bottom edge leading to the right a little bit. So take your beveled edge and just press it gently onto the crook. So that should be joined now. So the next step is to bring it all the way around. So you can press with your thumbs as you go, just to ensure that it glues nicely, and because you did that slight tilt to begin with, it should meet the lower edge nicely. And then you're overlapping over your bevel so that you have a nice clean loop. And then taking the blade or the Stanley knife or whatever you prefer, just trim that cork, and now you're ready to sand it to size. So the next step is to get rid of this kind of shoulder here, this kind of double layer thickness. Again, using the blade you can just gently resize this part, just gently trimming that back a bit. The next step though is to use an emery paper. This nice strip emery is very good. Holding the crook securely, you're just going back and forth. Again, the most important part is not to bring the emery down so that you touch the lacquer. You're avoiding that area completely. Your aim is to just remove this lip of cork. So you can see in removing that lip, you've now got this really neat seam, and that's where the bevel meets, and that's what you're aiming to achieve really. And the profile looks a lot smoother now. It's just a normal size ring. There's a slight overlap on the end of the crook. It's nice, again, to take the blade and to just bevel this edge. It just makes for a really neat finish. And the next step is to check the fit of your crook. At the moment, this is about 1.6 mil still. We've not really adjusted the thickness of the cork very much. But this will be slightly oversized on most makes and models, the idea being that you would adjust it down to whatever size you require. So you're testing the mouthpiece. So this is too tight at the moment. You can see it's a bit of a struggle. Ideally, without any cork grease, you want the mouthpiece to come on about 2/3 of the way. So at the moment, it's coming on about 1/3, so we just need to reduce the cork a little bit more. And if you can do this as even as possible, then you'll increase the longevity of the cork, because it won't kind of squish in different speeds throughout its life. So by turning it, you're reducing the cork quite evenly. So again, so now this goes on to the correct distance without grease. So I'm happy with the way that that fits. There is some glue left on the lacquer here. Again, you can go back to your lighter fluid and cloth just to get rid of that glue there. So just neaten up the edges, make it look clean. So this is basically the finished cork. You can now apply some grease to this and it should be back to where it wants to be, back to square one. So thank you for watching. That's how we would change a crook cork on a saxophone. This is something that we can do straight away, so there's no appointments necessary to pop in, but if you do want to do it yourself, all of these bits are available at dorks.co.uk.